Lewis County PUD Dispatch is Dan. As a utility, we service a county that's over 90 miles wide. I started with the PUD in 2008, and this is my 8th year in dispatch. Initially, when anybody calls, the report is my power is out or I'm out of power. It could be isolated to their residence, or it could be one specific street or town. The first steps we ask, have you checked your breakers to make sure that it's not just within your own home? It's common that a main breaker or breakers in part of the house would trip. Sometimes we'll ask them to look out their window. Do they see lights out their neighbors? So we're trying to put the pieces together to start evaluating the size, the severity of an outage. Other questions we ask are, did you hear a loud bang? Did you see the lights flash beforehand? So if the lights are flashing and then they go out, oftentimes that something's touching the lines, a tree, a limb, or something like that. A loud bang is an indication that a fuse is blown in the area. Customers usually report that a transformer is blown. It's not the case. That loud bang would be a fuse. If we determine that it in all likelihood is our outage, then we will start looking at the probable point that the outage originates, so that that fuse or some other device, that everything downstream of that would be out. We'll start making phone calls if it's after hours, or if it's during hours, we know who will be in which area and we'll route them over. But after hours calls, all of our linemen and crew members are subject to call out. Where they're at home or at a ball game, we go through the list and get the first guys that are available, come in from home, get their trucks, get their tools, and then head out to that outage. All of our line personnel live in pretty close proximity to our headquarters. Our dispatch center is staffed 24/7, 365 days of the year. We're here to answer the phone at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. on a holiday or any other. The more reports we get, whether they're from Smart Hub or they're actual phone calls, the better for putting the pieces together. And as we evolve and get more technology online, at some point we'll have real-time notification. But we are in the process of implementing that. Very thankful now to be still receiving phone calls and Smart Hub reports. On our outage map, even if it's not front and center, there's an audible tone, and then a little box will come up and say we have a new outage. Every report of a new outage generates that alert to us until it determines that all those outages are part of the same one. If we did have one in the Onalaska area, there would be a symbol in that area that would come up at that report location, whether it's a house or school or whatnot, and then a separate window will pop up alerting us to acknowledge that outage and then look further into it. Also, the Smart Hub reports, the customer has an option to select if it was a loud noise, if they know of a tree in a line or something like that, then they can leave that information with us. And the sooner we know the cause of an outage, the sooner we know how to best route appropriate crew for the repair. When we are inundated with calls, because of the volume of outages that those people impacted is more than we can address with one person answering the phone, we like to utilize what we call outage mode, which redirects calls through an automated system initially and gives folks the option to report their outage. We have the option of using an automated system that would recognize the outage associated with the phone number, and or you can acknowledge a different address that you're calling about, and in that case the report would come to us and not require someone to pick up the phone necessarily to do that. Oftentimes we will also staff additional people to answer phones depending on the circumstances. Depending on the cause of an outage, we may determine that it's more important to notify emergency personnel and line crews before making other phone calls with co-workers that do post the public messages and so on, because the safety is so important when you're dealing with electricity. With the majority of our outages, if they're less than 100 customers, we may not contact our coworkers to post social media posts and whatnot. If we have an outage at 2 a.m. and it's 2 customers, we're working on a response as quickly as we would if it was 2,000 customers. The nature of dealing with an outage when you're bringing people from home and getting all the right information and tools, it's never the same recipe. It's never the same exact process. We do prioritize informing the customer what's going on, which requires us to communicate internally to get those social media posts updated as well as any automated messages on the phone. But it could take, in a scenario where we have substantial volume of calls and a substantial number of outages with a county as wide as ours, it could take hours before we get complete information. On our website, there is a real-time map of the county with different indicators of where the outages are, and it should have the approximate size of the outage, which size being the number of accounts impacted by the outage. If we have 200 people out in Packwood and another 200 in Randall, there may be one dot centrally located between, or there may be two on the individual areas depending on how that outage is originated. The website and Facebook, we have more ability to post descriptions of the areas affected and aid that map. What we'd like to share with customers about reporting an outage is to call when it occurs. Do not report the outage after you've left your home and you're not aware if the lights are still out where you've departed. Staying away from down power lines, though the information of the down power line is helpful, please don't try to approach and get photos and whatnot. And if you don't know what it is, stay back. Along with winter comes the wind and snow and rain. The PUD makes a vast effort to trim back anything that's in close proximity to the lines, but the trees that cause the biggest problems fall through the lines from a distance away. We're as frustrated as the customers are, and we work every day to improve that situation, to respond to those in a timely manner, and we try to keep our guys safe while they're out there working in these storms. So we always appreciate patience, but we definitely work until the job's done, and our response times are something we pride ourselves on.